Everybody, it's Chris with Tactical Defense Institute, and wanted to talk to you a little bit about gas regulation. And no, I'm not talking about the spicy meal you had for dinner last night. I'm talking about suppressor initiated back pressure into the gas system of your rifle. If you've been following the big beautiful bill, you're probably tracking that come January 1st, 2026, the $200 tax stamp goes away on suppressors, amongst other things, right? A lot of people are waiting, saying, you know what, I'm going to buy that suppressor I always wanted, maybe avoid the $200 tax stamp, save a little bit of money, right? And if you are, that's great, that's fine, right? I don't know what backlog times, wait times are going to look like. But if you've never dove into the world of suppressors because you didn't want to pay that tax stamp, but now you're ready to do it because that $200 stays in your pocket, there's some things you might want to consider about the back pressure and the extra gas that's driven into the system when you put a suppressor on the end of that AR-15, on the end of that rifle. All right, so a couple of things that we can talk about here is, the suppressors drive that gas pressure up, right? That's not exiting behind the bullet, that's more back into a direct impingement system, it's more back into the receiver, it's more back into your face, potentially it's more out the ejection port and the charging handle gap at the top of the receiver of an AR-15, right? By managing that gas appropriately and kind of, you can call it regulating that gas to an extent, you can get a lot of tangible benefits from it. For one, you're going to get some reduced recoil, right? Think of it kind of like tuning a performance sports car. You can get a lot of ARs to run reliably. You have a lot of cars that run pretty reliably. But when you start really getting into the details of managing the gas, especially, of any rifle, but especially when you put a suppressor on it, I kind of look at it like tuning a performance sports car to get the best you can out of that machine. And you can do that a couple of ways. It's going to, like I said, reduce recoil. It's going to reduce wear and tear on the parts, right? There, less gas in the system mean it's going to be less violent movement of those parts, right? Of that bolt carrier kicking to the rear, right? Instead of just hammering as hard as possible, driving that thing every time, right? It's going to use what it needs, maybe a little bit extra to ensure reliability, but without beating the hell out of the gun, right? Reducing parts wear, reducing recoil. The other thing it does is by reducing that gas pressure into the back end of the system, it can help you as the shooter by reducing gas blowback into your face, which is annoying, especially, getting around your eyes. But also if you shoot a lot, increase the heavy metal content of your blood, specifically the lead levels of your bloodstream. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of, flow through suppressors and how you do get a lot more gas exiting out the end of the suppressor, even though they're a lot of times a little bit louder versus, all the details of a higher back pressure can. They all have some degree of increased back pressure. So I'm not going to dive down that rabbit hole right now. But understanding by mitigating the gas and really regulating it to the best of your abilities, you can have a lot of tangible benefits, not only in your shooting performance, but also your overall health performance, in the long run of being a shooter. I just have my lead levels checked. They were elevated, right? So it's one of those things, you gotta do all the normal stuff, wash the hands, this and that, but managing gas will help reduce that as well. So what are the options that you have for managing that gas, right? There's a couple ways to do it, but that's what I really want to focus on. The first one is my primary rifle that I just had, right? I am using an adjustable gas block up here in front. This is a PRI, right? Let me see if I can get it close to the camera so you guys can take a little look at it right here. All right, you can see that it has a set screw on the side. That gas block, right, goes on, that set screw changes the opening that allows gas to flow back into the gas tube running into your system. Now, this is a very basic but very well made gas block by Precision Reflex. It is a set screw and it's a single set, right? You set it to where you want it, and the more you shoot it, it essentially carbon locks in place. Yes, you can break it free, but the carbon buildup locks it in place, and that's where you set. Think of it as a set and forget. I have this 11.5 set up specifically to run suppressed with this can on it, right? So if I take this can off, the way I have this tuned, I'll get a single shot rifle, right? It actually takes the back pressure of the can accounted for in the cycling of the gun. It is phenomenally reliable with the can on, with a wide array of ammo, but it is adjusted specifically. So when I have that can, I have all the right amount of back pressure and gas pressure into the system, minimizing all the excess I don't need to get reliable performance, right, and everything that I want. But I don't have the option of taking the can off. Think of it almost like an integral suppressed. If I wanted to change that adjustment screw, I could, right? But it's not click adjustable. It's just you start to turn, test fire, turn, test fire, get it where you want. So I look at this is dedicated suppressed rifle all the time. It's 11.5. Right? There's a lot of companies that make them. I really like Precision Reflex stuff. They do a good job. I know the guys that work at that shop and not too far from me, right? But there's a number of them out there that you can look at. I mean, virtually every manufacturer out there has some type of adjustable gas system now, or a gas block. Another option, if you want to have the ability for on-the-go gas changes, this 13.9 upper that I have set up for my OCM5 can uses a superlative arms adjustable gas block. You can see it's kind of tucked away right underneath the front end of my handguard. I kind of went as long as I could on the handguard without interfering with the adjustment screw, which is right here on the end. This is a click adjustable gas block. So I can tune it for when the can is off. I know how many clicks from completely open or completely closed, depending on how much gas you got in your system, right? It takes to run reliable. Say it's 5 clicks from totally closed off, right? When I put the suppressor on, I know, yep, when I'm gonna go suppressed, I gotta dial it 3 clicks more closed, right? To reduce the amount of gas because I'm gonna have more back pressure. So maybe it's 2 clicks from the completely closed position when I'm suppressed versus the 4 or 5 when I'm unsuppressed. So it does offer you that versatility. Now the superlative arms adjustable block does have tactile clicks right in it, and I did put a little bit of anti-seize. People are like, I guess I took a syringe, a blunt fill needle, a little bit of anti-seize, high temp, back the screw all the way out, put just a little bit in there, and if I turn it every so many 100 rounds, I have not had it seize up, lock in place, or anything like that. It does have the ability to do what's called vent mode. I don't use it. I use it in restrictive mode where I'm simply just closing off a portion of the gas port. But you actually can open it up to a certain amount where it will vent excess gas out the front. Now here's the downside to it, right? You better have that screw if you want to make any adjustments. It is a 330 seconds, right? You can see a little bad boy right here, right? You can dial it in. I got just enough room to clear this Otter Creek Labs OTB muzzle device for my OCM5. I can make the click adjustments that I need, whether it's short end, whether it's long end, whatever it might be, right? It's right there, and I can go one way, go the other way, whatever I need to until I feel the detent click. You don't have that screw, you can use a needle nose pliers. Not optimal, but it's doable. But again, this gives you more versatility versus a set and forget gas block if I want to run this thing unsuppressed, right? Or I want to throw the can on it and run it suppressed and still get optimal performance out of it. Again, less recoil, less parts wear, less gas in the face, less gas in my bloodstream, hopefully, right, on top of all that. So that is another option you can do. But you notice both of those rifles are free float rails, not a fixed front sight base, right? So I can kind of customize and play with what I want. But what about, the classic vintage line that have the fixed front sight post, right? Well, let's talk about my Gordon clone, right? One of my favorite rifles that I have. Probably seen this before if you've watched or been to any of our classes, right? So not an adjustable gas block. Obviously, it's part of the fixed front sight post in the classic, A2 or style uppers, M4 style uppers. So what are you going to do, right? You want to run something like this. You're running that can on it. You know it's going to be increased back pressure, but I still want to maximize performance out of the system. There's a couple options you can do. One of those options is going with a BRT gas tube, right? This is not one of those. This is just a standard gas tube. But to describe what it does is they have a reduced size gas port in the tube itself. So when you install the gas tube, right, you can reduce the size of the port in the tube that limits how much gas is blowing back into the system. That's very much like a set and forget. You're going to get that one amount of gas all the time. So maybe you have it, tuned to where it's kind of that happy medium. With the can off, you're getting a 1 o'clock or, a 130 or 2 ejection. With the can off, you're getting that 3 or 30 or 4. Can on, you're getting maybe that 130 or 2, kind of splitting the difference. Or you can set it up to where I'm just going to go dedicated suppressed all the time, which, to be quite honest, with this Gordon clone, this can is on here 95, probably more like 99.5% of its life, right? And shooting it with that brake underneath, it'll get the attention on the range, that's for sure, right? But that is an option. You can get a BRT, reduced gas port size, dedicated gas tube, and they make them in various sizes. I didn't want to go that route, right? Because I didn't want to be locked into just one gas level into the system. So I went with a bootleg adjustable bolt carrier. So I'm kind of bring this in close so you can take a look at it. In the side of the receiver here, you'll see that there's a little flathead screw, right, that will allow, it's right back into this area here. It has a 4-setting flathead adjustment through the ejection port. So I can go, right, suppressed mode, there's 1 less than suppressed mode, 2 less than suppressed mode, and I can open it all the way up into unsuppressed mode. This bolt carrier group from Bootleg actually vents excess gas out and forward from the bolt carrier group, right, out the ejection port, reducing how much force is driven into the rear of the system and how much you're getting into your face as a shooter, parts wear, and all the same benefits I talked about earlier. The really nice thing is I can do it from the ejection port, so I don't have to take the bolt carrier group out of the gun. It allows me customizable options for how much gas I'm dumping into the system, but I can use it on a fixed front sight rifle, right? So it doesn't change the look if you want to do it in a clone build or anything like that, which is obviously why I went for it here. And I just want to put it back to suppressed, and boom, right? It's right where I want it. Nice thing is I pretty much on this, while it has 4 options, I use unsuppressed and suppressed. When I have the can off and I throw it in unsuppressed mode, I'm getting 4 o'clock ejection pattern, right? I put the can on, I flip it to suppressed mode, guess what? I'm still getting that beautiful 4 o'clock ejection pattern, right? Super reliable, super easy, fits in any rifle. It's a fantastic option. All right, I've been really, really pleased with it. So again, those are just 4 options: the 2 gas blocks, an adjustable bolt carrier group, and then the BRT gas tubes. I've talked to a lot of people, had a lot of students in classes that are like, I don't trust adjustable gas systems, right? It should be set on 1 gas, which is most of the time overgassed, right? Because they just want reliable no matter what ammo you're shooting. And that's how it should be all the time, no matter what. They don't trust it. It's like, adjustable gas systems are not new. The concept, it's like, wow, this rifle has an adjustable gas system or adjustable gas piston on, let's just look at, I don't know, the SIG. I think the SIG Spears have an adjustable gas system. I don't own one. I'm not in love with SIG anything, honestly. Or a SCAR 17, right? Maybe it has, a suppressed or a couple different gas settings, whatever you want. You can go back to the 1950s, right? I'm a big FAL fan, right? All right, my 5063 version, right, or clone setup, my Para 18-inch. The original FALs had an adjustable gas regulator at the front of the gas piston to control how much gas went from the system to the piston that drives into the bolt, being a short stroke gas piston. This concept of regulating gas to get reliable but optimal performance is not new, right? So if you do it right in terms of mounting and installing an adjustable gas block so it's not going to move, right? You do it right, it can be very, very effective. We've been doing it for 70 plus years on rifles, right? The right arm of the free world has served in a lot of corners of the globe and is still out there today for a reason, because it works phenomenal. The gun gets dirty, click, 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 add a little more gas to the system. Change your ammo, click, 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 take away or add a little gas to the system if it's underpowered ammo or it's real hot ammo to get maximum performance out of your weapon system. So don't hamstring yourself and limit yourself to say, well, this is how it came, this is what I have to do, right? I've become a big fan of adjustable gas systems to manage that gas and get the best performance out of my rifles. Don't be afraid to do the same. So, right, if you have any questions, hit them in the comments, right? Follow the channel, like, subscribe, do all the things, right? You know, they're awesome. I love my rifles. I like the engineering design, right? It's no longer for me about getting reliable, because virtually everything I build, you know, or have, I make sure it's reliable. It's about getting every bit of performance to allow me to be the best shooter I can be and to achieve the best standards I can achieve if I'm in a class or I'm out training on my own. So hope that gives you a little bit of insight. If you got questions, let us know. We hope to see you in a class. A few more on the calendar yet for 2025. Keep an eye out for the 2026 training calendar for TDI, and we hope to see you on the range. Thanks a lot. Stay safe.